Hi everyone, it's Nick. Welcome back to my channel. Okay, in this video today, we are going to be talking about outdated interior design advice. This is the advice that I keep hearing people saying that I disagree with. Some of these things might be sort of my own just unpopular opinions. Some of it is just advice that I can't believe we're still talking about in 2023. It's just so outdated, it doesn't make sense anymore. That's what we're gonna be talking about in this video. Let's get going. Okay, before we get started, I wanna thank today's sponsor, which is Drift. So Drift creates air care products for your car and your home that smell good and look good too. I just got their freshener for my car, which was so easy to install. I just slipped the little metal cover into my sun visor and then the wood sort of magnetically attached to the metal clip. There is no hassle, no damage to your car, just really easy, takes 2 seconds. I chose the wood freshener option with the scent teak, which smells amazing. I love the woodsiness of the smell that you're getting with this one. It's gorgeous. It has sort of this cedar and sort of amber in its profile. It's really beautiful. It's perfect right now as Vancouver goes through the fall season, but if you want to change your fragrance regularly, Drift has a monthly subscription service, easy. They just keep sending it to you every month, a new one. It's great. The best part of the Drift subscription is their scent of the month, which features a new limited edition scent. They're inspired by the season and the memories and emotions attached to it, which I think is such a great way to do seasonal decor without doing seasonal decor, if you know what I mean. They have scents for your home and your car if you want to try different options. The car products are also super affordable, ranging anywhere from between $9 to $15. Also, I'll add, I love this as a gift idea as well, because with Drift, you also get flexible delivery dates, flexible cancellation. So it makes a really great gift because it's not something that necessarily people would think to buy for themselves. It's a little bit unique, but you can get them a beautiful subscription and then you can cancel it later on down the road. I think it's a really great, wonderful gift idea, super unique. Most importantly, all materials they use are sustainable and their scents are made with natural essential oils and beautiful fragrances. Make sure to use my coupon code NickLewis55 for 55% off your first month, linked below, and thank you Drift for sponsoring this video. Okay, first up is going to be always match your wood tones. I still hear people talk about matching their wood tones and they're really obsessive about it. First of all, this one comes a little caveat, okay? Because first of all, I want to say that if you love a space that's more contemporary, that is often going to have a very limited amount of wood tones being used, maybe even just one. So if you're in love with sort of these, if you know the local project or another YouTube channel here, beautiful, amazing architectural channel, fabulous houses in Australia and all over the world, whatever. They're amazing, they're fabulous. And those are really minimal contemporary spaces. They're probably gonna use one type of wood throughout the space. That is very common in that type of design in that contemporary space, okay? So yes, if you are really after that look, then maybe sticking to oak or walnut or whatever and using it throughout the home might make sense. That's probably not you though. That's probably not most people. So I still hear this advice of always use one wood tone. So if you are going to use multiple wood tones, just know that the more wood tones you use, the more eclectic your space is going to be. So if you like to mix 6 different types of wood tones in one sort of living room area, that's fine, you can do it, I believe. Just know that the more you add, the more eclectic it starts to feel. It's gonna start to feel like things are a little bit more thrown together and a little bit less designed in that sense, but that can be really wonderful. That can make a space feel really homey. It can make its space feel really unique to you and really lived in. And again, eclectic isn't a bad thing necessarily. It might reflect sort of your own personality and what you want to do in your home. And that's why I think this tip is outdated. I think people are just so afraid of matching wood tones, kind of like matching metals and all these things. People get matched, the color matching all over the place. People are so obsessed with it that it makes it feel like it's all too tight and it just doesn't really fit together. It doesn't feel real, it doesn't feel homey, it just feels like a showroom and it feels really distant from the person that lives there. So I think that using more than one wood tone can be a really great thing. And here's the good news is that I did a whole video, by the way, on wood tones about matching them, you know, if you want to check it out. But really, the good news is with wood is that most of the time, natural wood, unless it's like driftwood or reclaimed or it's got that Kelly Clarkson whitewash Wayfair collection look going for it, most wood leans warm. So it's going to be, whether it's, you know, acorn or oak or ash or walnut or whatever, it's probably going to be on the warmer side of the color wheel and therefore relatively easy to match. In this space alone, I think I've got acorn in the bar cabinet, walnut on the table, like it's fine. Like I've got oak in the office, like I got oak, it's okay to mix. Look at my kitchen cabinet, it's not even close to walnut. You can mix wood tones together, makes the space feel really homey. And again, because they lean warm, they all sort of work together. They're all sort of the same area of the color wheel, and I think that really helps. So outdated design advice is for most people, I don't think you need to necessarily just use one wood tone. Have a bit of fun and mix them together. Okay, next up, oh, this one really gets me, is no hardwood in the kitchen. So I hear this all the time of not using hardwood specifically in the kitchen. People say engineered hardwood, great, wonderful, awesome, but don't use it in bathrooms and and don't use it in the kitchen. That is frequent advice that I hear. I would say that overall, I understand, especially for the bathroom, where that makes sense. I think the main concern with using engineered hardwood is in wet rooms in the home. It can be really difficult to, or not good for the wood to necessarily use in sort of a wet area. So this can make a lot of sense in a bathroom. This might even make sense for sure in something like a mudroom or some sort of, you know, area where people are going to be putting their dirty shoes or boots or whatever. That might make sense for you to tile that area, because that's obviously going to be so much more resilient than hardwood in order to be able to manage moisture better. So that I would agree with. But the kitchen, first of all, a lot of the engineered hardwoods that people are using now, like, they're not gonna dissolve just because you get some water on them, okay? So let's like dispel that myth, right? Yes, in a humid environment, like in a, you know, with a shower going and the bathtub and the whatever, sure, that's different. But you know, what are you really doing in your kitchen? You know, like what is happening there? This wood is treated so that it can handle a little bit of moisture. I wouldn't, as I said, put it in a bathroom, but I would say it's just fine to be used in a kitchen. This is really sort of outdated advice. I think it comes from where people were a lot more concerned with real hardwood, when a lot of people right now are using engineered hardwood, which is not the same thing. And people sort of have this just in their head that they have to use tile in the kitchen and they don't even consider. I think wood is a wonderful material to use in a kitchen. It is something that you can carry through right into the living room, works great in open concept, works great in a closed concept. I honestly really love wood in the kitchen. I think it is beautiful. It adds a gorgeous warmth. You can put a little rug down there if you're really concerned. It actually feels really good underfoot while you're in the kitchen, while you're cooking, whatever. I love wood floors in the kitchen. I think engineered hardwood is fine in the kitchen. I think people have really overstated this, and it's just sort of been baked in that that's sort of what we think. We have to use tile, and we've never really challenged that. I think we should. Okay, next one is going to be furniture sets should match. Oh, no, they should not, ma'am. No, they should not. Okay, let's talk about the bedroom and we can talk about the living room, because this is where you see this, right? The living room set where you've got the chairs and you've got the sectional or the couch, the love seat, the blah, 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 and you're matching them all together. Or you've got in the bedroom where you've got the chest of drawers and then you've got the nightstands and then you've got the bed and then you've got like it all matches. It's all from the same set. This feels very traditional to me. This feels something that was really, I don't even know. I just think this is like a 90s Ashley furniture situation happening that just, you know, we need to take that down a notch. I don't think it's necessarily a problem to use a couple of pieces that might match from the same set. I don't think if you only have two pieces, they shouldn't match. I don't think it's necessarily a huge problem. I'm generally okay if a person's got, like, I think having a sofa and a chair in the same set, but having the chair be something different, unpopular opinion, I think that that can work actually okay. But when the whole thing is one set, I really don't like it. I also prefer, I think that it looks better when you've got different pieces coming from different collections that speak the same design language. Maybe they have, you know, texture similarities, maybe they are from different areas of the color wheel, but maybe they're like sharing similar sort of color palette or material choices, the wood, the chrome legs, what, like you've got different things that make the furniture pieces connect with one another so that they look like they're speaking the same language, but they don't necessarily feel like copy-paste jobs. And that's something so often that I see, and that's the design advice that I still see here in 2023, which is shocking because I don't think it's great advice. If you want to match, you know, the bed to the nightstand, fine. You know, the wood choices, you want to match them, great, go for it. But I don't think you necessarily have to. I think it can add a lot of personality when, again, it's thought through and curated and they're sort of speaking the same language, but they're not saying the exact same thing. I think would be better advice going forward into 2023. Stop with the matchy-matchy sets. The reason I think retailers have honestly been pushing this because, again, Ashley Furniture and the like, they just want to sell you 5 pieces. They don't want to sell you 1, they want to sell you 5. So they'd rather you walk out with $15,000 worth of furniture and have it just like look like a showroom. But it's not gonna look good. You're not gonna be happy, trust me. Okay, next up is going to be to match your drapes to your other areas in your living room or bedroom or whatever. So things like your blankets or your pillow sets or your pillows on your chairs or whatever. You're just matching all the fabrics exactly matchy. And this sort of is kind of like the furniture set example I just gave. It doesn't really ever work for me. It never really looks good in my opinion. And again, this is also really popular with traditional styles as well. This is advice that we saw, you know, 20, 30 years ago that to me feels really outdated. I think design has moved into the direction of people putting more nuance into their design by choosing pieces that go together, that work together, whether it's through color, as I said, texture, shape, all the different areas that you can connect pieces together without necessarily being the same. So just because you went and got the green, forest green drapery panels in velvet doesn't mean you need to put the same velvet green pillows on your sofa and your side chairs. I know you're drawing that connection thinking this feels cohesive because they all feel the same. They're too similar. I think using that color or using that velvet or whatever in a different area can make sense. So draw inspiration from the drapery panels and then bringing that color into the pillows, for example, can make sense. Or tonally using something different sort of tint or tone or shade. So you're just drawing that parallel, you're drawing that connection between those pieces, but they're not the exact same. So just really using those drapery panels as sort of a jumping off point. But it's one piece in your room, but not necessarily dictating the entire design for the rest of the space. Drawing those connections and those parallels using color and fabric can be a really wonderful thing. But again, it needs to be more nuanced. I'm gonna show you some examples. Here's just some very simple sort of examples of bringing sort of pieces together. They're speaking the same language, but they're not necessarily the same. And that's what this is all about. Okay, next up is going to be less is more. I hear this a lot in design where people, less is more, but like, sometimes more is more, like sometimes more is more. Sometimes more is okay. I think that this advice, which is really rooted in just an overall love and desire for minimalism as sort of, I don't know, it almost seems virtuous, you know what I mean? Like the less you have somehow makes you sort of a better person or makes you a better design, I don't know. I love minimalism, I think it's great, it's wonderful. But sometimes people take it really, really far, and sometimes less is more is just really boring and sad. And sometimes people like to have things. And I think that that advice really stems from that minimalist movement, which is not just in the world of interior design, but is in sort of lots of different areas, in logo design and in productivity and in whatever. People use minimalism all the time to kind of talk about their minimalist lifestyle. I think that's fine. You can have a minimalist wardrobe. Like you can do whatever you want. Sometimes it doesn't work for everybody. And some people like to have more stuff, and that's okay. They like to collect things. They like to have things that bring them joy into their space, and they want to show them off and they want to look at them every day, because that's part of what makes design fun, is that you get to actually live in the space, express who you are, part of your personality, share that with the people that get to come in and experience your home. That's the wonderful part of design. And some of these spaces, I'm sorry, just look drab. Like if you want to live in an insane asylum, go for it. But I personally like to have some stuff in my home, and I like to have some things that I like to look at. You may not like to look at it, fine. You don't have to like the stuff in my background, but cool, you don't have to live here. Like that's part of what makes design fun. And so I think that finding your own way to express your personality is a wonderful thing. And some of these minimalist spaces lack personality, because of course they do, because they have nothing in them. So where is there room to be personality? Maybe if you have nothing in your home, maybe you have no personality, but some of us like to have a little bit of fun, and we like to throw some things in that kind of express who we are, and that's cool. Now, I will say, if you really love minimalism and it really speaks to you, that is wonderful. I think that there's a couple of things to consider. Number one, minimalism doesn't always have to mean that there's no color. There's this idea, other outdated advice, that minimalism means minimal amount of color. Like it doesn't have to be black and white. Like you can add some color in there and have a minimalist space, or something that's more on the minimalist side of the spectrum, because I think it's kind of more of a spectrum really than just a minimalist maximalist situation. So you don't just have to stick to the black, white, beige if you are a minimalist. And the other thing to consider is the importance of texture. So if you are going with a minimalist sort of idea, which is really more of a, minimalism really is more about just being really curated and intentional with what you bring into your home, then consider what you do bring in having a little bit of texture, because you don't have a whole lot of pieces there because you're a minimalist, fine. Bring in pieces that are a little bit more textural, a little bit more interesting, again, a little bit more colorful, just really being mindful of what you're bringing in. Because if you are gonna go for a minimalist look, which again, sometimes people just want more is more, but if you are going for a minimalist look or something a little bit more towards that level, just consider on ways that you can make it a little bit more interesting, please. And then of course, special thank you to Drift again for sponsoring today's video. You've got the link down in the description to check out, and also don't forget to use my code NickLewis55 for 55% off your first month. And again, link is down below. Thanks again, Drift. So that's it for me for today, guys. I hope you really enjoyed this video. I'm going to leave it here. If you enjoyed this video, you might want to check out this one over here, and I will see you all in the next video. Thanks a lot. Bye.